A year after the breakup, how does it feel? Um, Strange, because peace feels different, unusual. Being happy feels different and unusual. Um, Knowing myself better feels different and unusual. All in all, the journey through this year, I guess it would have been a lot different if, in certain circumstances, my life wasn't in danger, and in other ways, also triggered in ways it shouldn't. This wasn't really necessary. Didn't need to happen, but the lessons were still there for me. So a lot of things I had to learn about managing my own emotions, seeing myself, reflecting on my own actions and thoughts, and the pain and the childhood trauma and all of this stuff, relationships themselves. So, a year after all this, and it's not all just because of me, it's also because of people who generally work on themselves too. Um, it helps when you can have even an ex-partner maturing enough, healing enough for themselves that you can reflect back on things together. So that is amazing. If that doesn't work, it's just no difference whatsoever, because at the end of the day, the only way out of your own hell is going straight through it. And this is what I've really done myself. So at the end of the day, I had to face, from all the pain that was caused to me in all my life, to the pain that I caused to others. Because you got to remember, whether you are, let's say, a bully or aggressive person or something like that, or not, hurt people do end up hurting other people, whether they like it or not, whether they want it or not. It just is what it is. The point is that it's down to each and every one of us to heal, and to process those things, to go through all of these things, to understand where our pain comes from and how we hurt others and all of these things. And it's important to be able to process it, and important to be able to ask for forgiveness and forgive and all of these things, because at the end of the day, peace and happiness are not just things, that feelings and just some kind of states of mind that just come to you. It takes that work, dedication, and really deep self introspection and reflection to figure out what really gives you that element of inner peace and happiness, which means that you know you've done the best that you knew and could do, but that there's always more important focus on improving that, getting better at who you are and what you do every day. It's all of that. And knowing that life is always going to be full of ups and downs, surprises, and joyful moments, and sad moments, and all of these things. But all that matters ultimately in the end is how we're going to be handling those for ourselves, within ourselves. What other people do, how they react, how they think, what they believe, and how that affects us is only our own choice. Of course, there are people who are not always well intended, they'll hurt others, and all of these things. It's really down to us to learn to assert, respect, and protect our boundaries in a way that doesn't hurt us or others around ourselves. And this is where the lessons start, once you've actually breached that life of pain and trauma and realize that there is a different life and you have a choice in how you live your life. This is where it all starts. And yeah, for me it's like this. There were some terrifying moments still following the traces of this past that I went through, like the court. It was kind of re-traumatizing in itself, but the good part I noticed, it took me less than a day to get back to my center. Maybe just a year ago or so, it would take me a lot more, and it would also seem a lot more difficult, if not close to impossible. So my own biggest fear was losing control of everything, and then in the end I did lose control of everything, and it kind of turned out to be good for me. The lessons are still hard occasionally, but how I'm able to see things from a very different perspective now is what really helps me. So I hope for anyone who is still going through this struggle of either relationship breakup or long-term self-isolation, because regardless whether we are surrounded with people or not, if we feel alone and misunderstood for a very long time, that's really called self-isolation, because it's down to each and every one of us to find and connect with people that we need. We're all social beings. We all need someone to connect with, whether it's a friend or a family or a partner, whoever it is. Like, there is no way any one of us could have lived and survived and strived all completely on our own. It's just not possible. Imagine, you wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for two people. So there's always that element, but it's not a necessity. One must really learn how to fulfill their own space and their own self before seeking someone else to fill up that spot. And that's the part of healing. So quite often I'd say it's better if you can find a way to heal before you enter any relationship. That's ideal. And just understand that all of us are hurting a little bit, and some people just more, regardless of what happened. Some people can really take a lot of pain and they will be okay. It's gonna be just like a walk in the park for them. And then there's some people who cannot take much pain, and it's gonna be huge trauma for them. It doesn't make them weak, and it doesn't make the other person strong. Because strong people eventually, like myself, might end up accumulating all of their trouble and pain, and it will buckle them up when they least expect it. And the weak people, just because they are not willing to face the pain, it doesn't mean they're not strong. It's the point is they don't know it themselves. And each and every one of us has their own journey, their own perspective, their own individual insight into life. That's why I think, for me at least, the biggest and most important part of the lesson was that there is no need for me to defend anything anymore. And if I have to spend time defending, explaining, and protecting, it's already enough of an alert to immediately stop myself from doing that and find a way how to get out of that situation as peacefully as possible. And it works. I mean, it works so well that in the past, 2 months, to say the least, I haven't had anything like somebody trying to run me over, somebody bumping into me with a bicycle or anything. Just literally nothing happens in that sense. And it's extremely quiet and unusual, and I noticed that it actually comes from me, because if I see people who seem maybe on alert, I just ignore them, I pass by, and I do my own thing. And the people that I see smiling and they're exchanging an eye contact, I obviously smiled back. I mean, I was obviously, even before I was like that, but things do happen in life. They make you different and they make you appear different to other people. So the moment I changed that energy, the life started turning around by itself. So, all in all, to each and everyone thinking that suffering is all there is to it, and they're in that state maybe, or fear, anxiety, whatever it is. No, it's not. But it is also part of life that teaches you a lot. So don't shy away from it and don't try to take pills to make it better. It won't be better because of some pills. It will just last much longer. The best way to heal yourself is to face yourself in all of your light and darkness together. As cliche as that sounds, it's really just what it is, because when you realize that all of your emotions and everything together is part of you, and you understand those parts of yourself, the whole picture comes back together. And when that happens, it's kind of like what people call magical. You start living more in the state of flow. Things become a lot easier. Let's say even money actually comes easier. All of these things. So the more you start to believe back in yourself, and the more you are firm with what you want and what you like to do, what you love, everything starts to open up again. So we have to understand that life is also a cycle. It cannot always go great and perfect. But as long as you keep consistent with it, that's always going to work. That's it for today. I actually was a lot longer than I intended to be, but it is at least one of the messages I intended to share in the recent days, since there is a full year around from my breakup, and there will be a few more. I have quite an interesting review of the Dutch so-called child protective services, because I've also concluded some stage of communication with them, which I think of all these institutions and people I was involved with, this is the only organization that from the start till the end has acted extremely unprofessional and irrational. And they also claimed in the end that their expertise is enough for them to review such cases on their own, which is a surprising topic for my next video, specifically dedicated to them. But for today, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. Thanks for subscribing, and peace.